And just like that, we are here, season 2 of the original Sex in the City recap, review, analysis, and comparison to the And Just Like Crap that just ended, and it still leaves a bad taste in our mouths. We're going back to review every single season, every single episode, and I am so glad that you guys are with me on this ride. Is it a joyride? Yeah, a little bit. What happens in this episode for season 2, episode 2, the awful truth? Well, the truth is we get the old Samantha finally freed. Yay! We find out that Charlotte is a little dirty, dirty, dirty girl. Are you surprised? Are you? Really? We find out that Miranda talks too much, for lack of a better word. Mm-hmm. And of course, to top it off for the four amigas, we get the Big and Carrie journey part 2, beginning stages of what will turn out to be yet another nightmare. So, I hope you're enjoying this. Let me know in the comments. Thank you for all your likes, comments, shares, engagements. Let's bring this up. Let's bring this series and analysis further out to the peoples who were sad watching, hate watching, watching, and just like that, and need a little palate cleanser and go back to the time where things were a lot funnier and a lot more well written. This episode was written by Darren Star, and you can tell the difference between Darren and Michael Patrick King. I know I can. And I just wanted to point that out to you because some of the things I'm going to have to say in these episodes are metaphors. Okay. Because as we start getting further into the seasons, a lot of other things will come out. So I'm going to have to replace some of the wording, textualizing the way that the scenes were by using metaphors. Stay with me. And if you want to create some new ones, let me know. I won't be able to show too many clips in some episodes because they're just too Sex in the City. But I'm going to try to make it as fun as it can be. So let's begin with the opening of The Awful Truth. Stay tuned. And when you have a chance, subscribe. Scene opens. We are introduced to a character that I'm going to ask a question after I do the introduction. Carrie's on her computer stating that her friend, Susan Sharon, 2 years ago, married a very mean man. I'm going to call him Napoleon because he clearly has a Napoleon factor or issue. Okay. We hear that he is yelling at his wife about putting the wrong CD in the case with the wrong music company. That's all I could remember. Got it. As we pan back into the Carrie scene with Susan Sharon, they're coming out of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. Yes, it is. And Susan is going into her script about an issue she had on an airplane where she had to take pills and she was so knocked out and she's talking and blah, 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 blah. And she's stealing the cigarette from Carrie and Carrie is trying to get it back. Give up the cigarette. I do believe, Carrie and SJP, that was part of the issue of your aging. You should have never been smoking or at least stopped, but we won't go there. So she's explained to her what happened to her on the plane, that the airline stewardess had to wake her up and let her know that they landed over 30 minutes ago. So funny. I don't care. Okay. I didn't understand this chick from the beginning. She was very erratic, and I'm like, oh boy, what is happening? But then I saw her husband. I'm like, I get it. So she tells Carrie, come over to my place. I have something for you for your birthday, which is up and coming. So we end up going to Susan Sharon's home and Carrie is narrating, she's talking to her and Susan is like, shh, my husband's sleeping. I don't know what time it is at this point, but he's sleeping. So she's very, very nervous about loud noises to wake him up. So as Carrie narrates that she feels like she has been she was 16 years old again, being invited to a friend's house that her parents thought she was a bad influence. I get that. I was a little bit of a bad influence. Teeny. Not that much. So as she is sitting on the beautiful couch, it is a beautiful home, very 90s, but it's beautiful. Susan Sharon comes out with the Barney's freaking box again. I swear to God, this one store held this show up together through thick and thin. Really, it did. I feel like we were Barneycized for all these seasons. Carrie opens it up, and it's a cashmere sweater. Apparently, Susan Sharon is the Northeast rep for a big cashmere company, so she gets these things. Doesn't say if she paid for it, but she does express, oh my God, it's so beautiful, it's so soft, it's 100% cashmere. And she goes, you won't believe what Barney gets for this. And she says, I don't know, Carrie. And she says, $900. If you don't want to tell her, then why do you tell her? It really annoys me when people do that. But okay, there's a reason for this. Carrie, in turn, is in shock that it's $900. Worth $900 doesn't mean that Susan Sharon got it for $900. Got it. She asks Susan Sharon if she can return it for the cash because she's strapped. Okay. At least she asked. And Susan Sharon's like, of course. Why do you think they call it cashmere? Really? Okay. As they're laughing very loudly, Napoleon comes out and he starts screaming at her, saying, what did I tell you? It's 9:00 and you shouldn't have people here after 9:00. And Susan is trying to tell him, I know, but she made a funny and it's her birthday. He goes, I don't give an F. I'm on London time and I have to be up because the markets are up in 3 hours. Blah, 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 blah. Napoleon, Napoleon, Napoleon. And Susan is trying to tell Carrie, no, please stay. And Carrie's like, no, I'm going to leave. And as she walks past him, she makes a remark that pissed him off. And he says, get the F out of my house. And then you see Susan Sharon and Napoleon yelling at each other because I guess Susan Sharon is trying to fight back. And I'm like, I know this couple personally, not from the two friends that are with me, but we all thought the same thing. Like, yeah, we know that guy and that group and that couple. She no be a friend with us anymore because of exactly what happens in this episode. As Carrie goes back home, she is narrating to herself. She goes, she wonders if the marriage is really that bad or what she just witnessed was foreplay. And if so, was she the catalyst for this foreplay? Very good questions to ask. I would be more concerned about, the health and well-being of my friend who gave you a $900 scarf, not even a sweater. It wasn't even a full outfit. It was a scarf. $900. I don't care if the sheep presented it to me for the cashmere. I don't care. I would not do that. In 1,000 years. I'm presuming cashmere comes from sheep. I will be corrected in the comments, I know. Okay. Getting better though. You hear me? I'm getting better. Thank you all for asking if I was getting better. I am. Now, what happens? What do you think happens? Susan Sharon calls her and she says that she's apologizing to her and that, this guy's always been that way. And then she asks the one question that all people in the world, especially women, hate to have asked. What would you do in this scenario? Would you leave him? And Carrie's like, well, if you're not happy, life is too short, And she goes, Susan Sharon is just talking. She goes, I can't be with him anymore. Okay. As she's starting to get a little bit more riled up, she makes a noise. Her husband starts to wake up. She hangs up the phone with Carrie and Carrie questions. She just got into a no-win scenario when a friend asks you, should you leave your significant other? And it is a no-win scenario, no matter how you put it, except for one big major difference for me and the two women that were with me, because when we saw this episode, it triggered a lot as well. You really have to know your friends. You really have to be close with them and have that bond with them to be that comfortable to express your feelings, because you run the risk of losing them if, as what happens, where it turns out that you are the one that made them leave or in their mind told them to leave someone and they're still not doing it and then they go back. Who do you think gets the short end of the stick? The friend. Now, I do preface this by saying no verbal abuse, physical abuse. I don't care what kind of friend you are. I'm not going to keep my mouth shut. I won't. I won't. Because there's a lot of forms of abuse, mental, physical, all of it. It sucks. And I will risk losing you as a friend because at least I spoke my mind and I tried to protect you. Thankfully, my two friends, when we get further into the seasons and I tell you what inevitably happens to them, we were bonded enough that it never affected our relationship once we all decided that we were going to get involved in certain case scenarios. One of them was in an abusive relationship, i.e., another one I said before was in a relationship with the man was cheating on her. So you can imagine how triggering this was and how it actually helped us to become more understanding of how to approach certain things, even though we were very close at that time. So next scene is my favorite scene, is when all the girls get together. And I will promise you, I will clear my throat a little bit better than I'm doing right now. I do apologize for doing that on camera. So stay tuned. Next scene, my favorite part, when the girls are together. So they're sitting at the restaurant, again, eating out, as always. And Miranda is expressing to Carrie that she is put in a difficult position. She should never tell a friend not to see someone anymore. And Samantha chimes in and says, yes, it's a very bad position because if you tell her to leave him and she does, it's your fault. And then if she stays with him, it is going to be uncomfortable because she will know that you would wish him and her not to be together. It's a no-win situation. Charlotte is saying that it's a very intimate, if you have an intimate relationship with your friends, you should be open. And Carrie is saying that she was put in a difficult position because she was tired. She had just been kicked out of her friend's house and that she has a birthday looming. Got it. So there's no win situation here, as you know. All of them are right in their own ways. We can admit that. Again, it depends on your relationship with your friend. My friends experienced both. Thankfully, we all stayed together. And the one that we couldn't be with anymore because we did express ourselves is no longer part of the group for a very long time at this point. So Samantha chimes into Charlotte's statement about if you're intimate, it should be open. And Samantha's rendition of that line is that every relationship is built on two things, lies or an acceptable delusion. Mm-hmm. I could see that completely being true. She says, take her and James. I pretend that James doesn't have a small penis, and he pretends that they haven't had sex for 3 weeks. Do you understand 3 weeks for Samantha is almost a lifetime in dog years? You know what I'm talking about. Okay. So Miranda chimes in and said that she's having an intimate relationship with a new guy that she met. And they're trying to figure out, Carrie's like, is this the guy you met at the sushi truck stop or something like that? She goes, yes. And that and this is where the metaphors have to start coming in and I have to be very clean. He likes to express his feelings about Miranda's body parts during sex. How it feels. How does it feel to you? It's almost like the question and answer period on a test. I have to say, when I saw this scene, I was quite annoyed. I was like, come on, dude. It's one thing if you want to talk dirty to me. It's another thing when you're starting to question me about everything that you're doing. Does this feel good? Do you like this? Do you want this? It's like, dude, what is happening here? If you're going to do it, do it. If I like it, I'll tell you. Sorry, but I was kind of on Miranda's side at this point. I'm like, no, I can't. Like, and I may be, in the very few, but no, it's not cute. It was not sexy. And poor Miranda, as he's, giving her the third degree on the different body parts that he's touching, he's like, how do you feel about that? She goes, like what you said. We pan back to Miranda and she is like, I I can't reciprocate. That's the problem. He wants not only to interrogate her and tell her every single thing that he's doing, he wants the same thing back, and she feels that she can't give that out. So Charlotte says that it could be fun, and sometimes you just have to, go with the flow. And Miranda's like what? She says, yeah, stud. I like it like that. Give it to me hard, you effing stud. And as Charlotte is expressing this, and I'm paraphrasing as much as I can, I'm just looking at her. I'm like, you're a little freaky deaky, you. I knew she had that in her from the last season. We're setting Charlotte up to be a lot more than what she appears to be. Samantha's impressed by the give it to me, stud talk. But really, at this point, Samantha's impressed when the wind blows, okay? But I can get the feeling. And Miranda's point to her whole story is like she has an over articulated life. And it's the one time in her life when she's in bed that she feels that it's okay not to talk. I can get on board with that to an extent, which is what Carrie asks her. She says, so I don't understand. Are you completely mute when you're in bed? She goes, no, I can, give him the signals that I'm going to come. I can say, I'm going to come, I'm going to come, I'm going to come, but that's because I'm going to come. Okay. And what? I'm not going to keep a straight face in this episode. I may not keep a straight face in any of these upcoming episodes because this is when the series starts to get really good. So she signals the plane she's going to come during her sexcapades. And Charlotte's like, if you really want to be with this guy, you may have to talk back. And as she looks up into the sky, she starts to think, how the hell am I going to pull this off? Which is quite impressive for Miranda, because I would think that she would be the dirtiest one out of all of them, because she does talk all day. She never shuts the fuck up. Ooh, F up. Sorry. Forgive me. So the next scene is my also second part favorite. It's when we take Carrie's tagline of what she's going to write in her column, and then we spread it out to the other New Yorkers and what they feel is the issue, or they chime in on the tagline. They don't. Next scene, the taglines according to the local New Yorkers. We're back at Carrie's apartment, and she's thinking about what Miranda said, that maybe certain things should not be said as she writes in her computer for her next column. And then we get the montage of the New Yorkers. We get this one who states that she just met her best friend's fiance and he's an idiot. And what is she supposed to tell her? That she's marrying an imbecile? Now, I wouldn't put it in exactly those words. And saying that about a fiance is very, very tricky. And most likely I won't say that either, because it could be my own personal opinion until further notice. Got it. We get this one that says, my wife has had her breasts done twice. They look fantastic, but they feel like shit. I keep that to myself. All those fake boob jobs, that's an eye opener, just as an FYI. And then we get this one who says that she's a 38-year-old single woman who still hopes to get married. She doesn't want to know the truth. Yeah. See, that's an eye opener for a lot of people. Then, now, forever. Oh my God, the pressure to get married and be in denial. People, denial is a river in Egypt. Wake up. Then we get Susan Sharon, who is now shopping with Carrie, and she tells Carrie that she finally told her Napoleon that she can't live like this anymore and she's tired of his crap. And once that happened, the floodgates opened and he tells her apparently that there was a moment in their wedding where he looked at her and he felt pity because she was so generic. Then she told him, hey, really? So listen, FYI, I don't think the Rogaine is working. What the bloody hell? The floodgates opened. This is a contentious relationship. And why? If you felt that way during the wedding, did you get married? There's a lot of reasons why people get married. I've came to discover that. And those were scary. Tell me, am I crazy? Crazy about this. I know I'm crazy. There's a difference. Okay? So be kind. Okay? So Susan goes on to say that her Napoleon says that first of all, she says she wants a divorce. Got it. And he says that he feels sorry for her because within a year he'll be remarried and she will most likely be single for the rest of her life. When you really go back into the show, it's exhausting how many single, being afraid, getting married, being pressured references you hear. But the struggle was real and was real back then too. So she turns to Carrie and says, I owe it all to you. If it wasn't for you, I would have had the nerve to finally leave him. Carrie is shitting bricks because she's like, oh crap, how's this going to turn out? And she's like, oh no, wait. And she's like, so, no, it was really you. So then Carrie says, so what are you going to do? And she's like, can I stay over your place tonight? Do you think this goes well? Of course not. Next up. Carrie's birthday is looming. Vic is back. They don't subscribe. Now we get to individualize each of the ladies. We go to Charlotte now. She's at home, and as Carrie narrates, she is tired of dealing with not having a man's in her life. So until she finds a man's in her life, she has decided to look across the world for the perfect male specimen. And as she opens up her bedroom door, we get introduced to, and one of my friends laughed so hard because I believe that's a Jack Russell Terrier dog or a mixed breed of it. And she was laughing because she had one of those dogs, and they are the worst dogs to keep in your house ever. And do we find this out? Of course. So Charlotte, until she has a man's, she's going to be with her dog, her male perfect specimen dog. Right. Next, we get Samantha. Samantha in her boudoir. James is trying to figure out what's wrong. Are you angry at me? And Samantha's like, no, my love, it's not you, it's me. And he tries to lean into her and says, would you go to couples counseling with me? Literally, Samantha's face as if someone shot her in her private parts, which would be devastating for her. And I was shocked with the next line. She goes, well, if it means so much to you. I was like, what the hell? Samantha, I know you're holding on for dear life, but this is already, let go, fall. As he tries to kiss her, she leans back into the bed, and you can hear Carrie narrating that she longed for the days of, emotional detachment and hot one-night stands. I don't think it's going to go well with them. Next, we have Miranda back in the saddle with trash-talking nutjob, who is continuously asking the answer and question period of the test. And finally, Miranda is tired of it, and she turns him around, and she starts to go, lovey-dovey on him. So now we went from the question and answer period about how does this feel to, oh my God, this feels so good. How do you like it? I'm like, why, where did you, how, what the hell? Because I'm trying to think of the right words. Because it's not a training thing. It's like you're insecure about something. You need to know every single motion. I'm sorry. If there's guys like that out there, I am so sorry. It's not good. So as she is learning that he is liking about what she is doing and he wants her to tell him how she feels about what he's doing to her, literally, I'm confused. He's getting very excited and she's beginning to realize that this might work. And she starts to open up a little bit more. It feels hairy as she's kissing his chest. It feels hard as she's touching his nether regions. And he's getting more and more excited and she's realizing that this plan is working. And she says, it feels like a rock hard sausage. And he loses it. I don't think I can continue this relationship long term because I'm going to have to come up with a lot more metaphors than rock hard sausage. So we're back at Charlotte's home, now this time with Susan Sharon. And by the way, have you noticed that Carrie is wearing athleisure wear with sneakers? You know, the one that claims that she can never wear shoes. She always has to be in heels. I thought that was a funny little thing to notice. And as, you know, Susan Sharon is saying that she wants to go home just in case, to her place, to Carrie's where she's staying, just in case Napoleon calls her. And Carrie's like, I thought you didn't want to hear from him. She goes, I don't, but I want to be there to tell him that I want to hear from him. It begins. So Charlotte chimes in and says, listen, check it out. You shouldn't talk to him unless you have something specific to say. And Susan Sharon is like, well, can you believe I married that guy? And she said, asshole. And Carrie's like, oh, you didn't know he was an asshole. Strike one. She goes, but, you know, he does have a sweet side. It's just that you don't know him very well. Carrie's like, strike two. She turns to the dog and she asks the dog, do you think I did the right thing by leaving my husband? The dog growls at her. And poor Charlotte is like, he's a dog, not an oracle. Actually, it was kind of funny, that line. Yeah. Now it's the next day. And guess what? Carrie gets the doorbell and she's in this outfit that I'm telling you was a robe. I'm telling you this because I saw that outfit when she went to Charlotte's opening of her gallery with her VJJ monologues on full display. It was a robe then. It's a robe now. She opens the door and it's a delivery guy with the longest box of roses, I could presume. And the next scene you have, they're in the actual diner, the four of them, and she's showing the card that came with the roses, and it was from Big. Happy birthday, something very simple. Best wishes. And both Miranda and Samantha are like, no, danger. Charlotte, on the other hand, is like, this is the grand gesture. And they're both looking at her like, all of them are looking at her, what do you mean the grand gesture? It's a box of roses with best wishes on the card. And the dog, you know, hell on wheels, hell on four legs, is trying to bite into her bag this whole time. And as Samantha and Miranda are trying to explain that this is not a grand gesture, it's a muddied gesture. Of course, Carrie is agreeing with them. She goes, this just made it worse. I don't want to play games. I don't know how to handle this. And as they're trying to talk this out and, you know, Charlotte's trying to get control of her hell on four legs, she gets upset and says, oh my God, you ladies are so ridiculous. This guy sends her flowers on her birthday and you want to make a big deal out of it. You're all cuckoo. And as the dog she's trying to pull the dog out of the bag, Samantha's like, would you please get off that dog? And she says, well, he already went through 4 pairs of my shoes. I don't want him to start getting into the bags. My friend next to me is like, told you so, told you so, told you so. I'm like, shut up. So she has the nerve, Charlotte, to talk to the dog and says to the dog, you wanted to go out and I took you with me, but you do not know how to behave. So now we're going to have to go home because you don't know how to behave. Everybody's looking at her at the table, and I want to know, when did the dog tell her that? Because that's a magic dog. When did the dog tell you that he wanted to go out? Because That trumps crazy dog. Magic dog. Did he really talk to you, Charlotte? Or do you hallucinate this? I'm a little worried for her. He's losing it. As she's walking away from the table, after she's made her proclamation that everybody's crazy, that this is the grand gesture, and everybody should shut the hell up, everybody's looking at her and they're like, speaking of cuckoo, because none of that of what Charlotte was trying to do with that damn dog, and the fact that she believed that he told her that he wanted to go out, I think we should forget about Susan Sharon and forget about talking sexpert, guy, Harry guy, and, the issues that Samantha is encountering and, the big mistake. And really, we should talk to Charlotte. I think just she needs a little bit of an intervention. She was better off with the rabbit. Next up. Oh, dear God, big. They don't. Next scene. We have Carrie looking at the roses that Mr. Big sent her, and she's thinking about what Charlotte was saying about the grand gesture, and could this be really the grand gesture? So, of course, instead of really thinking about it, she goes ahead and she calls Mr. Big to thank him for the roses. As she is speaking to him and calls him and said, "Hi, it's me. I want to thank you for the lovely flowers." And, of course, Big, true to form, says, "Oh, it's no problem. The date, my secretary alerted me to the date." And Carrie's like, "Oh, so it was your secretary that sent the flowers?" And he's like, No. She alerted me to the date. I sent the flowers. So Carrie goes on to say, "Well, thank her and thank you for the lovely gesture." Got it. We thought it would be over? Of course not, because it wouldn't be a show if it would be. So then he asks her, "Hey, what are you doing tonight?" And she's like, "Oh, Stanford arranged a birthday gathering at this Moroccan restaurant. You should come." As if it was just easy to say that. I'm like, uh-oh. Dun, 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 dun. The Death March. And as soon as she said it, she knew that it was a mistake. And he's like fumbling around. He goes, "Oh, well, I have plans, but maybe I can stop by, but I'm going to bring somebody." He couldn't say who he was going to bring because never, ever, 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 ever in their relationship do they have any clear communication. Ever. She's like, "Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. You just come and bring, who you're going to be with and just meet me there. Bye." She jumps onto her bed and she just realized that not only did she invite him to her birthday soiree, she invited him with his date. Because until we know what's going on, it's a date with another woman. Got it. Samantha, my Samantha. She is at couples counseling with an author and a therapist who wrote a book about Into Me, You See, a couple's guide to intimacy. That is some Darren Star writing right there. Great pun. As she is trying very hard not to say the real issue, which we all know, the gherkin, for lack of a better word. She's trying to get out of Samantha what's the problem. And she's saying, it's just, couples just fade out. I mean, it's normal, right? And the doctor asks, "Well, how long has it been?" And she doesn't answer. And James does. And he said, "It's been a month." The doctor says, "Very normal. Don't put too much pressure. Have you tried erotic games?" Now, to me, when I heard that, I thought Samantha is the erotic game. Hello? It's Samantha. And she's like, "No, I'm just not feeling very sexual these days." James says, "Well, I saw you masturbating when I was coming out of the shower the other day." My God, you couldn't hear him coming out of the shower and stop it? So she is shocked because she doesn't know what to say. And he says, "I think you have a problem with intimacy. Please tell me what it is. I'll be okay as long as it's the truth." And Samantha's like, no. I tell you, gold star for Samantha. She really tried. And as they're quibbling about she should be honest, it's time for the session to end. And the doctor says, "Great session." And then she pulls out her book. "How about the same time next week?" And James is like, "I'm good for it." And Samantha, like a deer in headlights, has made a decision that right now is when she's going to say what the problem is. And the problem is your penis is too small. It's just too small. James did not take that very well. He was like, well, did you ever think that your vajayjay was too big? What? How? Was that a good comeback? Really, dude? Samantha's free. As he walks out the door, the doctor says, she tells the doctor, I just need a big penis. And the doctor's like, I hear you, honey. And that's it. Samantha's free, free as a bird. We get the old Samantha back. Thank God, because this was killing her and me too. Hello? I finally got to understand who Samantha was. Next up, we have Miranda and Trash Talker. They're in bed and they're talking about the fact that they're both getting very turned on by the word cock. I can say that, right? And that, she's cocking. And she's like, I don't understand why I couldn't talk before. This is so much fun. I get so excited. Why do we get so excited? Blah, 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 blah. And he, again, with the freaking question and answer period, he goes, oh, what do I like? And she goes on to say, you like it when I touch you, when I kiss you in certain areas, and you also like it when I put a finger in the area that shall not be named. And he's like, what? She says, you like it when I put a finger in that area that should not be named. I am trying to keep it together, people. Please understand the words that are coming out of my mouth. Metaphors. And he rolls over and he gets upset because apparently you can say everything else. But when you tell them that they enjoy a finger in that area, it no be funny. That's the bridge that you're going to jump off of, bro. I've been listening to you this entire episode of all the other nasty stuff that you keep telling me. That, do you like this? Do you want this? Do you have this? I was exhausted. And I wasn't even having intimate relationships with you. And that's the straw that broke your back. That's some Darren Star writing right there. Next up, we get to see the debacle that is the birthday party at the Moroccan restaurant with Mr. Big. Stay tuned. And hey, if you're enjoying this, subscribe. Next scene. It's the day of the birthday party at the Moroccan restaurant that Stanford's set up for Carrie. So as Miranda is expressing to the team, which also includes Susan Sharon, she's saying that how would she have known that by telling a guy that he likes a finger in his place that should not be named would be the one thing that she can't tell him. And Samantha says that's not the only thing you can't tell them. And what is so hilarious is that Stanford says, oh, wait, before I even go there, Carrie says they do like it. It's just that they don't like to be told that they like it. Mm-hmm. Stanford then says, well, I personally don't like anything up there. Back it the truck up. Because we didn't know this until, and just like that. Okay? And I tell you this because if everybody remembers that Anthony, Stanford's husband, was with the Italian kid, and he too didn't do what we don't want to be told that we like to have done for the men's sake. That was a big button issue for their relationship. Then if Stanford didn't like it and Anthony didn't like it, then how the hell did they have a relationship? Because according to and just like that, Anthony never gave it up until he met Italian boy. And did something change with Stanford? Because that was a big plot twist to me when I heard it this time around. I'm like, what is happening here? Somebody forgot something. But I thought it was very interesting and hilarious. So They're all laughing because they're all thinking, okay, Stanford, really? And he's like, no, for real, I don't. Okay, got it. This party is going on. Carrie's getting drunk because at any moment she knows that Big is going to come with his beautiful girlfriend date. As the belly dancers come out, Big comes to the restaurant. Apparently, she didn't tell anybody at the table that he was invited because they all looked at him like a deer in headlights again. And he says that here's the person that I'm bringing. He goes, do you remember Jack? We remember Jack, right? Because Jack is the jack off that was invited to their first date that she walked out of. Okay. And he was a miserable little shithead about getting a divorce, being taken for his money, blah, blah, blah. I don't like him. Me don't like him. Carrie is so happy that that's his date that she jumps out of the chair and hugs him like a mirage in a desert. And Big is very confused because yet again, there's no communication. So she thought he was bringing a female date and it turns out to be jack off. Okay. The party's going on and, there's the attack of the belly dancers on Mr. Big because they're literally attacking him. Okay. And Carrie, Miranda's like, what is he doing here? Again, I guess she didn't tell them. And she's like, well, I invited him for a drink. I didn't think he was going to stay for a lap dance, which is probably what they were doing. Susan Sharon is trying to communicate with Jackoff or whatever the hell she's doing, because I don't think that was flirting. Okay. As they go around the table, Susan Sharon is yapping her mouth off to him about her marriage and that, they're both tired and she never thought herself as being a divorcee. Jack doesn't give a fairy rat's behind. Literally, he's looking at her like, dear God. And she's just going on and on and on yapping about her marriage and why it could be failing. And he just turns to her, do you ever shut the F up? The exact same words that her husband tells her. And at that moment, she realized how much she misses her husband. Mm-hmm. Next scene we have is Charlotte is home from the party to embrace her new man in her life, the dog, on 4 legs. She's walking through her hallway and there's dog poop. She steps in it. She enters her bedroom only to find this one going back crazy on her bed and her pillow, and it's a shit show. And literally, she realizes that just like every other man in her life, he has shitted all over her. That's some Darren Star writing again. To the point where, as Carrie is narrating, that she had to give up her dog, but she wouldn't admit it. And where does the dog go? The next scene you have is that Hell on 4 legs ends up with Susan Sharon and Napoleon, and is the glue that saved their marriage. Because the dog is barking, and now instead of him yelling at her to shut the F up, he's yelling at the dog to shut the F up. I couldn't write a better ending. Seriously. Hilarious. The last scene we have is Carrie is walking in the street after the party with Big. They're having very light conversation. And he's like, do you want me to give you a ride home? She goes, no, I'm going to take a cab. He goes, do you need cab fare? I have to give it to him. He's a gentleman. I have to give it to her. I don't know how she pulls that off. And she goes, no, I'm going to take a cab. Don't worry about it. He goes, okay. So he gets into his limo, which, by the way, I would have gotten into limo because it's dark. It's 3 a.m. and she's in Tribeca. I mean, hello. But I get what she's trying to do. I didn't see any cabs coming by, but sure, we'll go with that. As he's getting into the cab, she's narrating that one thing that, as she's watching him go away in the cab, the one thing that she couldn't tell Mr. Big is that she's not over him. And here we go down the shit train of Carrie and Big Part D. Next up, epilogue. I got some questions. They don't. Epilogue. Okay. I've asked a lot of questions throughout the course of this video, but there's one question I need to ask. What the hell happened with Susan Sharon in And Just Like That? Does anybody remember when she went to Big's funeral and she went off on Carrie? We've seen Susan Sharon a couple of more times in the season, but then she disappears. All of a sudden, she shows up at Big's funeral and she's ranting and raving about a mea culpa that Carrie did to her and that she doesn't expect an apology and everything's fine. And she's glad that she was here for her with an attitude. Does everybody remember that? Does anybody know what the hell all that was about? Because we never see Susan Sharon. They never explain what was the mea culpa that she did to her. And unless I find out later on in the next couple of episodes or seasons, I don't recall any specific thing other than her telling her that she might need to leave her husband. What the hell was the big issue? I feel like there's like this big plot hole between her and Susan Sharon that we get this weird introduction. By the way, out of all my friends, we never purchased anything for $900, even if we were to get it at a discount. I started to question my friends on my birthday. I still love them. This whole thing was ridiculous. Okay? So I appreciated that they brought Susan Sharon back, but they never explained anything. They being Michael Patrick King. Right? Because it's always back to him. Always circles back to that maniac. Okay? I've already asked the question of how the hell did Anthony and Stanford get together if neither one of them like to do the dirty deed? You know what I'm talking about. How does this tie into And Just Like That? I'm going to try to make sense of this. We go back to it doesn't. Why? Because this was written by Darren Star. Why? Because when he writes things, it's a lot more puns, a lot more interconnective storylines. It brings out better suited questions and scenarios that may be strange, but they're funny as hell versus it being strange and being cringy as hell. Okay? This time, Michael Patrick King is the executive producer, but Darren Star is still writing. I believe he writes until the end of this season or maybe up to season 3. I think they go in and out between the writing. I don't think that when you look at it from this perspective now, how it started for Big and Carrie again is kind of, we all know where it ends up, even in through the movie. I would have loved to have seen Darren Star come back and clean up some of the And Just Like That crap. Seriously, I really think that the show needed that. I go back to, listen, there was no replacing Samantha. She played a very pivotal role in the entire series. But I go back to also, it was never about the sex. Throughout all of this conversation, uncomfortable as it may have been and will be as we move forward, which makes this the whole part of it being great and being funny. It pushes us to think about things, not just from our own self, but our friends. How close are you with your friends? Can you have a real conversation with them and have these intimate conversations on me personally? I really did not want to know that much about any of my friends' lovers, boyfriends, husbands. I don't want to know that they like a finger anywhere. I personally think that there are certain things that you should not be telling your friends. That is intimacy 101. But because of the way the context is and the way the show is, it doesn't necessarily mean that most people do that. But it's good to have open conversations about relationships and where they're going and are you comfortable? Are you happy? And legitimately being there for them, even when you know that what they're doing is wrong. And that's the whole point of this, right? Because as much as we like to believe that our word is gospel to our friends and they're going to listen to us, we sometimes have to take a step back and be like, listen, I'm here for you no matter what. You may not want to tell them, even if I know that your relationship is going to go down the shitter, doesn't matter. It's about being there for them. And they have to sometimes make mistakes in order for them to see. What I will not allow happen is what I said before. If you're being verbally abused, physically abused, mentally abused, then I will push you to make the right decision. And if you do not want to follow that, that is your choice, of course. But I will always make sure that I'm there for you when I can be until you say you don't want to be with me. And it will hurt me. And my 2 friends next to me, we went through hell, but we never gave up on each other. We never stopped. Even when we said things that we didn't like to hear, There was never a moment that I felt that this was going to be the breaking point. Unlike my third friend that we never got to be with again because all of us told her what was going on and she did not ever accept it. And she ended up being very miserable. If she would have come back to us, we would have never turned our back on her. And that's the core of relationships and friendships and intimacy. It's not just in relationships of, you know, being in a relationship. It's about your intimacy with your friends. Who are your friends in your neighborhood? So tell me how you felt. Do you remember this one? Are you ready for the big journey? Oh God. Are you happy that Samantha is free? Did you get a little freaked out with Charlotte? I think that she may have a little more than freaky deaky in her. She may have a little bit more issues. We get into it. And Miranda, well, we get into Miranda. I want to thank you all for your wonderful attention that you have given me and for sharing your time with me, and that I truly appreciate that. I do not want to waste your time. I want to bring you joy, and for all the beautiful comments, even when people tell me that they look forward to my videos because it makes their day. You know what? I'm going to tell you right back. Hearing that makes my day, because these are not easy to do. Again, full-time job, transitioning, but even when I don't feel like recording, I'd record because I know one person out there will feel that love. And I cannot believe how many of you feel it. So I cannot thank you all enough. And even if this doesn't grow my channel, I'm not going to stop, because for the people who are watching and are looking forward to it, it means the world to me. It's going to be, again, a long journey. I'm going to try to add more things to the repertoire of this show, of my channel, that I hope that you all guys come back and engage with me on that too. Let me know what you are all watching. Again, I just finished watching season 1 of the morning show. I'm going to try to do a quick video on that. I haven't seen anything else that really has been intriguing to me. I did watch, I think it's on Prime, the Steve, it's not Steve, yeah, it's Steve Martin. Steve Martin, the comedian. It's not Steve Harvey, Steve Martin. He has a biography. It's a two-parter, and it's actually very cute. You know, I do appreciate him. I do remember him growing up. And it brings out some of the comedic things and issues that comedians face. And because of, I told you that, you know, sometimes people are funny because of so much pain. I actually found it endearing, and it's a very different type of way it's done. Very unique. If you catch it, let me know. But it's an interesting biography. Tell me if you watched it and you enjoyed it, and let me know what you're watching. Let me know if there's something specific you want me to review. I have not found much. So I'm just wondering what else is out there. So in a couple of days, the next episode, episode 3, I want you to all to have a wonderful, wonderful, beautiful, beautiful, blessed week. And I'll see you in a few days. Thank you, everyone. Goodbye. Mwah.